Excellence in transportation. A simple yet important mission statement that Lake State Railway has lived by since the first day of operation. Founded in 1992 by entrepreneur Jim George, Lake State Railway has grown to be a vital transportation link, connecting Michigan to national and export markets. With humble beginnings as a once tired and aging system of unprofitable rail lines, Lake State Railway now represents a true Michigan success story. Averaging 40,000 carloads annually, the railroad serves over 40 customers system-wide. Economic development projects underway in 2018 will result in a 20% customer base increase when completed in the coming months, helping create jobs in regions of Michigan that were once plagued by economic downturn. The future looks bright for northern Michigan, and Lake State Railway is the transportation system to bring it there. Lake State Railway is a thriving transportation company, but it wasn't always that way. Multiple unsuccessful railroad mergers in the late 1960s left the entire railroad network with an uncertain future. The railroads were also heavily regulated at the time, and because of that, competing with trucks on federally funded interstate highway systems became difficult. Many important freight railroad corridors were facing abandonment and would be gone forever. Lake State Railway CEO John Rickoff explains.
The rail industry's made quite a transition from the 60s to the 70s, and a lot of bankruptcies were occurring in the 70s. Many railroads were under reorganization or actually leaving business. In Michigan, the same kind of things were going on. Some of those bankruptcies were hitting this state. Many lines were up for abandonment. The state, fortunately, had the foresight to buy some of those lines to keep them intact, and we operate one of those lines today. The Staggers Rail Act of 1980 allowed us to be deregulated and go after business and contract for business, and that started the revolution that really turned the railroads around.
Thanks to the state of Michigan stepping in to purchase some of these lines in the late 70s, the Detroit and Mackinac Railway became the operator of the former Michigan Central Railroad Mackinac branch, giving them access to Mackinac City's rail ferry service to the Upper Peninsula. However, the rail ferry service ended in 1984, beginning a series of challenges for the D&M Railway. Manufacturing was also on the decline in northern Michigan, with several important rail customers closing their businesses for good on both of the railroad's main lines. This trend continued into the 1990s, when the Detroit and Mackinac Railway faced an uncertain future. But there was still hope. Taking great personal risk, Detroit and Mackinac's vice president at the time, Jim George, purchased the company with a vision of prosperity. On February 17, 1992, Lake State Railway began operations. With a strategic plan to revitalize northern Michigan's railroad scene, George persevered through dark times. With second-hand equipment and less than ideal track conditions, it would be a long time before his vision would become a reality. Over the next 2 decades, Lake State Railway would spend millions in track and infrastructure upgrades, along with replacing older Alco locomotives that were inherited from the D&M.
Our story is much like anybody else's. Our business dwindled through the 90s and even into the early 2000s. We're seeing a major comeback now, particularly in the area of Grayling. The rest of the railroad, we've got growth at existing customers, new customers that have come online, so we're excited about the future.
Lake State really is in it for the long term, and the investments that the ownership allows to go back into the railroad is really astonishing when you compare that to most other railroads our size. Almost every dollar we make goes back into the railroad. You can see that if you look at the capital program that we've had together over the last 2-3 years. We are spending a lot of money on projects that don't necessarily have a great ROI, but improve efficiency and really are just necessary projects like rebuilding the entire East Yard here in Saginaw, re-railing large portions of the Huron subdivision. Those all prove that we're here for the long term.
I would say the most important message that we want to get out to not only our existing customers but our new customers is that we want to understand their business, understand what their needs are, and then work with them hand in hand in coming up with creative ways that we can best service their needs. The worst thing that anybody can do is to not think outside of the box, not to have that flexibility and be nimble in making sure that we can openly communicate with each other and that we can go beyond, meet expectations, and truly deliver transportation excellence.
Hi, my name is Brett Bant with A&L Iron and Metal. I'm Vice President of Marketing. In 2006, we installed a shredder that does automotive, white goods, and secondary scrap that services all of northern Michigan. During that time, we realized that just being able to service by truck in Michigan alone was not going to be enough. Lake State Rail made a huge commitment to A&L Iron and Metal, brought rail in and allowed us to ship from the southern states to the eastern states, all through the greater Midwest, and opened up a lot of marketing doors for us. They give us exceptional service. I would highly recommend them for anything that they can provide service for. As you can see today, it's snowing. They'll be pulling cars out, rain, snow, no matter the weather, their equipment moves. They're quick to respond and just give us fantastic service.
A&L has been a great customer over the last several years. They have more than likely increased their carloads about 500%. We have a lot of benefits here at Lake State Railway Company having a yard the size of Saginaw Yard. It gives us a lot of opportunities to have great control over the cars coming inbound and going outbound. With Saginaw Yard the way it is, it really gives us a lot of freedom to really just bring on as much business as we can and not have any of those downsides to having too much traffic in one spot.
As one of the busiest places on Lake State Railway's system, Saginaw Yard is where the company headquarters are based. Complete with a yard tower, dispatching center, fuel pad, maintenance facilities, classification tracks, and a turntable, Saginaw Yard is unique among short-line railroads of Michigan. Carefully operated by qualified employees, the yard's unique operating features allow for better customer service over the entire railroad.
My name is Elliot Hubbard. I've been with Lake State Railway since 2011. I've been a yardmaster dispatcher for my entire career, as well as conductor. As a yardmaster, my duty is to ensure that all tracks are straight and accurate and consolidated to where they need to be, getting outbound and inbound trains built, any inbound freight that we receive from CSX or here on an Eastern or Mid-Michigan Railroad, organized to go to where they need to be. As a dispatcher, it is my job responsibility to get all track warrants or signal indications proper for train movement, as well as protecting train crews and maintenance away. For Lake State, our customers are first and foremost. We do as much as we can above and beyond to make sure that the customers have their car in a timely fashion, and if they're in need of anything, we do whatever we can to make sure that they get the product that they need in the time they need it.
The bet that Jim George and the state of Michigan made has paid off for the communities of northern Michigan. Grayling is once again becoming a lumber town, with hundreds of millions of dollars being invested into multiple new facilities, bringing jobs and stability back to the local economy. Between 2013 and 2017, traffic on the Mackinac and Huron subdivisions grew by 135%, with a half dozen new customers coming online. Volumes on both lines are expected to grow even more over the next 2 to 3 years. Over 25 years after beginning operations, Jim George's vision of excellence in transportation has changed the long-term outlook for freight rail in northern Michigan, and it couldn't appear to be more optimistic. Lake State Railway, excellence in transportation since 1992.